I held the program at my mother's funeral. The cheap paper felt rough between my fingers. Robert, my younger brother, sat beside me in the first pew of St. Michael's Cathedral in Toronto, his head bowed. To anyone watching, we looked like two grieving sons saying goodbye to their mother. They couldn't see what I'd discovered 3 hours earlier in the lawyer's office. They couldn't see the forged signature on the power of attorney document. They couldn't see that the brother I'd protected my entire life had been systematically stealing from our dying mother for the past 8 months. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start from the beginning. My name is David Patterson, and I'm 63 years old. I spent 37 years as a civil engineer with the city of Toronto, built a decent life, saved my money. My wife Margaret passed away from cancer 6 years ago. We never had children. After she died, my mother and my brother Robert became my whole world. Well, Robert and I had always been close, or so I thought. Robert is 58. He's my only sibling. Our father died when Robert was just 12 and I was 17. Mom worked 2 jobs to keep us fed and in school. I stepped up, became a second father to Robert, helped him with homework, taught him to drive, paid for half his university tuition when Mom couldn't afford it all. When he started his consulting business 10 years ago and needed capital, I co-signed a loan for $45,000. That's what brothers do, right? Robert married Nicole when he was 30. They have 2 kids, both grown now. His business does okay, nothing spectacular. They live in a nice house in Mississauga, drive decent cars. I always thought they managed their money well. I was wrong about a lot of things. Mom was 87 when she fell last March. A broken hip, complications, the usual spiral that happens with elderly people. She spent 3 weeks in Sunnybrook Hospital, then another 2 months in rehab. The doctors said she could go home if she had support. I took a leave from work. I'm semi-retired anyway, only going in 3 days a week as a consultant. I moved into her house in North York, the same house we grew up in. Robert visited maybe twice a week. He'd bring coffee, sit with Mom for an hour, help me move her from the wheelchair to the bed. Those visits meant everything to me. I thought we were in this together. "You're doing so much, David," he said one evening in June. We were sitting in Mom's kitchen after she'd gone to sleep. All the daily care, the medications, the appointments. I feel terrible that my work schedule doesn't let me help more. "Don't worry about it," I told him. "You've got your business, your clients. I'm grateful for the time you do spend here." He nodded, looked down at his coffee. "I've been thinking, what if I took over Mom's finances? Just to lighten your load a bit. You're handling everything else. I could manage her bills, her banking, make sure everything's paid on time." It seemed reasonable. I was exhausted from the physical care, the sleepless nights, the constant worry. Managing her finances on top of everything else was overwhelming. "That would actually help a lot," I said. "You sure you have time? For Mom?" "Of course. We're family." I remember thinking how lucky I was to have a brother who cared. That was in June. Mom died in February. 8 months where I thought Robert was helping. 8 months where he was actually stealing. The day before Mom passed, she was in and out of consciousness. The palliative care nurses said it would be soon. Robert came by around noon. I was dozing in the chair beside Mom's bed when I heard him talking to her, his voice soft. "It's okay, Mom. You can let go. Everything's taken care of. The house, your accounts, everything. You don't have to worry." I kept my eyes closed. Something about his tone felt off, but I was so tired, so grief-stricken, I didn't think much about it. Mom passed away at 4:17 a.m. on a Tuesday. I was holding her hand. Robert arrived 20 minutes later. We cried together. We held each other. We called the funeral home together. The funeral was scheduled for the following Monday. That gave us 6 days to handle the immediate arrangements. On Wednesday, Robert suggested we meet with Mom's lawyer to discuss the will. "Better to get it done now," he said. "Get all the legal stuff handled." We had an appointment with Harold Morrison, the lawyer who'd handled Mom's affairs for 20 years, at 10 a.m. on Friday. I arrived 10 minutes early. Robert was already in the waiting room, looking at his phone. We went in together. Harold was in his 70s, a grandfatherly type with kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. He offered his condolences, pulled out a file. Gentlemen, I'll get right to it. Your mother's will is straightforward. She had three main assets. The house on Finch Avenue, currently valued at approximately $870,000. A savings account at TD Bank with roughly $163,000. And her RRSP, worth about $92,000. The will states that everything is to be divided equally between you two boys. I nodded. That's what Mom had always said. Fair and equal, Harold continued. However, there's a complication. 8 months ago, Robert came to me with a power of attorney document, signed by your mother, giving him full authority over her financial affairs. My stomach dropped. I looked at Robert. He was staring at the desk. Since then, Harold said, Robert has transferred significant funds from your mother's accounts. The savings account, which had $221,000 in June, now has $163,000. The RRSP has been partially liquidated from $145,000 to $92,000. In total, $111,000 has been moved to an account in Robert's name. The room felt like it was spinning. What? Robert claimed these were gifts from your mother, Harold said. He provided documentation showing these as legitimate transfers for care expenses and personal gifts. However, I've reviewed the power of attorney document again this week, and I have concerns about its authenticity. What kind of concerns? My voice sounded far away. Harold pulled out a document, slid it across the desk. This signature. I've seen your mother's signature hundreds of times over the years. This doesn't match. The loops are wrong. The pressure is inconsistent. I believe this document was forged. I stared at the paper, then at Robert. My brother, my baby brother, who I'd raised, who I'd helped, who I'd trusted with everything. Robert, I said. He wouldn't look at me. I can explain. Did you forge Mom's signature? I needed the access to help her. The bills were piling up. She needed medications. You were so overwhelmed. Did you forge her signature? Silence. Harold cleared his throat. Gentlemen, this is a serious legal matter. If this power of attorney is fraudulent, then all transfers made under its authority are illegitimate. David, you have grounds to pursue criminal charges for fraud and theft. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. I need to leave, I said, standing up. I need to process this. I walked out of that office in a daze. Robert called after me, but I kept walking. I got in my car and just drove. Ended up at the waterfront, staring at Lake Ontario for 2 hours. My brother had stolen from our dying mother. He'd forged her signature. He'd looked me in the eye for 8 months and lied. When I finally got home, there were 6 missed calls from Robert. I deleted them all. I needed time to think. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying every interaction from the past 8 months. Every time Robert had offered to help. Every time he'd brought up Mom's finances. Every casual conversation that now seemed calculated. I remembered in September when Robert had mentioned Mom should enjoy her money while she still can. Maybe we should take some funds and fix up her house a bit, he'd suggested. New bathroom, update the kitchen, make her comfortable. She's comfortable, I'd said. She doesn't need renovations, she needs care. Just a thought, Robert had shrugged. Now I understood. He was looking for ways to justify moving money. I remembered in November when he'd asked about Mom's RRSP. Has she ever talked about what she wants to do with that money? Any specific wishes? She wants it split between us when she's gone, I'd said. Equal shares. Right, of course. I just wondered if maybe she'd want to gift some of it now. Tax purposes, you know. I don't think she's thinking about taxes, Robert. She's thinking about dying. He'd dropped it. But now I knew. He was planning his next move. Saturday morning, I called Harold Morrison at home. He picked up on the third ring. Harold, it's David Patterson. I'm sorry to bother you on the weekend. Not at all, David. I've been expecting your call. I'm assuming you want to discuss next steps? I need to understand exactly what happened. Can you walk me through every transaction? Of course. I have all the records here at my home office. Can you come by in an hour? I was there in 45 minutes. Harold had spread everything out on his dining room table. Bank statements, transfer records, withdrawal slips, all bearing my mother's forged signature. It started in June, Harold explained. The first transfer was $30,000. Robert claimed it was for renovations to make the house more accessible for your mother's wheelchair. There were no renovations, I said. I was living there. Nothing was renovated. Harold nodded grimly. In July, another $25,000. He said it was for private nursing care. She had PSW support through OHIP. We didn't pay for private nursing. August, $15,000. September, $18,000. October, $12,000. November, $11,000. All documented as care expenses or gifts. My hands were shaking. $111,000. The pattern is clear. He was systematically draining her accounts, spacing out the transfers to avoid triggering automatic fraud alerts from the bank. Can we prove the signature is forged? I've already contacted a handwriting expert I've worked with before. She can compare this signature against authentic documents from your mother's file. But David, even without that, we have leverage. Robert knows the signature is forged. He knows he's committed fraud. What are my options? Harold leaned back in his chair. Legally, you can report this to the police. Fraud over $5,000 is a serious criminal offense. Robert could face prison time. Alternatively, you could pursue civil remedies, sue for the return of the funds, plus damages and legal costs. Or what? You could confront him privately, demand the money back, give him a choice, return everything quietly, or face criminal charges. I thought about Mom, about what she would want. She loved Robert. Despite everything, I knew she loved him. The scandal of criminal charges, her youngest son arrested at her funeral, the family torn apart in public. I want the money back, I said. Every cent. But I want to handle this quietly. For Mom. Harold nodded. I understand. But David, if you go this route, you need to be firm. You need leverage. Robert needs to know you're serious. What do you suggest? Document everything. I'll prepare a detailed accounting of every fraudulent transaction. I'll have the handwriting analysis done. Then you present him with evidence and an ultimatum. Full repayment within 30 days. Or you go to the police. Will he be able to pay it back? That's his problem to solve. I spent the rest of Saturday and all day Sunday preparing. Harold worked with me. We built an airtight case. Every transaction documented. Every forged signature highlighted. The handwriting expert worked over the weekend and confirmed what we already knew. The signatures were fake. By Sunday evening, I had a folder 2 inches thick. Evidence that my brother was a thief and a liar. The funeral was Monday at 2 p.m. I arrived at the church early with the folder locked in my car. I decided to wait until after the service. Mom deserved a proper goodbye without this hanging over it. Robert arrived with Nicole and their kids. He tried to approach me, but I moved away, went to check on the flowers. I couldn't look at him. Not yet. The service was beautiful. The priest talked about Mom's strength, her dedication to her sons, her faith. People shared stories. I spoke about how she'd worked 2 jobs to raise us. Robert spoke about her kindness and love. The hypocrisy made me sick. At the reception afterward, held in the church basement, Robert cornered me by the coffee urn. David, we need to talk about Friday. Let me explain. Not here. I cut him off. Not now. When then? We have to discuss this. Tonight. My place. 8 o'clock. Come it alone. He nodded, relief flooding his face. He actually thought I was going to let this slide. Thought brotherly love would trump theft. I left the reception early, went home, set up my dining room table like a courtroom, the folder of evidence in the center. A recording device, ready. Harold had advised me to record everything, just in case. Robert arrived at 8:03 p.m. He looked nervous, exhausted from the day. Want a drink? I offered. No. I want to explain what happened. Sit down. He sat. I sat across from him, pushed the folder forward. Open it. He did. Spent 5 minutes flipping through the pages. His face went from nervous to pale to gray. David, I can explain all of this. Did you forge Mom's signature on the power of attorney document? I needed access to help her. Yes or no? Did you forge her signature? Long pause. Yes. Did you steal $111,000 from her accounts over the past 8 months? I didn't steal it. I borrowed it. I was going to pay it back. Where's the money, Robert? He put his head in his hands. It's gone. Gone where? My business. I had cash flow problems. Major client delayed payment. I had payroll to meet. Vendors to pay. I thought the client would pay within a month. I'd put the money back. No one would ever know. But the client didn't pay. The project canceled. They went bankrupt. I lost the contract. So you took more of Mom's money. I thought I could fix it. I thought if I could just keep the business afloat until I landed another big contract, I could pay it all back. Did you land another big contract? Silence. Robert, look at me. He looked up. His eyes were red. You stole from our dying mother. You forged her signature. You lied to me every single day for 8 months. You sat at her funeral today and pretended to grieve while knowing what you'd done. I do grieve. I loved her. If you loved her, you wouldn't have stolen her life savings. My voice echoed in the empty house. We both sat there, breathing hard. What do you want? Robert finally asked. I want the money back. All of it. $111,000. Plus the legal fees I've incurred investigating this. Total, $118,000. I don't have it. Then get it. Sell your house. Cash out your RRSPs. I don't care how you get it. You have 30 days. 30 days? That's impossible. You had 8 months to steal it. You can have 30 days to return it. And if I can't? I pulled out another document. This is a formal complaint to the Toronto Police Fraud Division. All the evidence is documented. I file this, you're arrested. Fraud over $5,000 is a criminal offense. You'll face prison time. You'd send me to prison? Your own brother? You stole from your own mother while she was dying. He stood up, paced the room. I made a mistake. I know I did. But prison? Destroying my life? Think about Nicole. Think about the kids. I am thinking about them. I'm thinking about how they're going to feel when they find out what you did. Please, David. I'm begging you. Give me more time. 60 days. 90. 30 days, Robert. That's all you get. I'll lose everything. You should have thought about that before you forged Mom's signature. He stared at me. For a moment, I saw something flicker in his eyes. Anger, maybe. Resentment. Then it was gone, replaced by defeat. Fine. 30 days. One more thing. You're going to sign a confession, admitting to everything. I keep it. If you don't pay, or if you try to claim any of Mom's estate, I use it. You want me to confess in writing? Yes. I slid a pre-written document across the table. Harold had drafted it. It laid out everything. The forged power of attorney, each fraudulent transfer, the total amount stolen. Robert read it slowly. If I sign this, you could use it against me even if I pay you back. You'll have to trust me. The way I trusted you, the irony wasn't lost on either of us. He picked up the pen. His hand shook as he signed his name at the bottom. 30 days, I repeated. Starting tomorrow. He left without another word. I listened to his car pull away, then sat in the silence of my house. The house felt empty, not just because Margaret and Mom were gone, but because Robert was gone too. The Robert I'd known, the brother I'd loved, he'd never really existed. Or maybe he had, and somewhere along the way, desperation and bad choices had turned him into someone I didn't recognize. The next month was hell. Robert called me 6 times. I didn't answer. He texted asking for extensions, for understanding, for mercy. I didn't respond. I'd given him the ultimatum. The rest was up to him. On day 27, I got a call from Harold. David, Robert's lawyer, just contacted me. They're proposing a payment plan. $60,000 now, the remaining $58,000 over 12 months with interest. No payment plan. Full amount or I file the complaint. David, if he doesn't have the money, that's his problem, Harold, not mine. On day 29, a bank draft arrived by courier. $118,000. I stared at it for a long time. Part of me had thought he wouldn't pay. Part of me had been prepared to file the police report. I called Harold. He paid. All of it? Yes. Then it's over. Deposit the draft. Put the money back in your mother's estate account. Split it evenly, as she intended. What about the confession he signed? Keep it. Insurance. I deposited the draft the next day. The money went back into the estate. When Harold finalized everything, Robert and I each received our half of Mom's estate as she'd wanted. His half, $527,000. Mine, $527,000. Equal shares, just like Mom planned. I never found out how Robert got the money to pay me back. I heard through a mutual friend that he'd sold his house in Mississauga, moved to a smaller place in Brampton. Heard his business had downsized. Heard Nicole had gone back to work full-time. I felt no satisfaction in any of it. 3 months after the funeral, I got a letter from Robert. No return address. Inside was a single page, handwritten. David, I know you'll probably never read this. I know I destroyed everything between us. I just want you to know that I'm sorry. Not sorry I got caught. Sorry I did it in the first place. I was desperate. The business was failing. I was going to lose everything. When you asked me to help with Mom's finances, I saw an opportunity. I told myself it was just a loan, that I'd pay it back before anyone knew. But one transfer became 2, became 5, became. I don't even know who I became. The worst part is knowing Mom died never knowing what I did. But you know, and I have to live with that. With knowing my big brother, who gave up so much for me, who helped me my whole life, now can't even stand to be in the same room as me. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I just wanted you to know that I'm sorry. Your brother, Robert. I read it once, put it in a drawer, never responded. Because here's the truth. I could forgive the money. Money is just money. I could forgive the desperation, the bad business decisions, even the lies. But I can't forgive that he did it to Mom, that he stole from her while she was dying, that he sat beside her bed, held her hand, told her everything was taken care of, all while knowing he was robbing her blind. I can't forgive that in her last months, when she should have had peace. He gave her deception. I moved out of Mom's house and put it on the market. Sold it for $895,000. Split the proceeds with Robert. Sent his half to his new address. With no note, no message. I took my inheritance and my half of the house sale and bought a small condo near the lake. Got a dog. Started volunteering at a seniors center, helping elderly people manage their finances. Watching for the warning signs of elder abuse. I think about Robert sometimes. Wonder if he thinks about me. Wonder if he tells his kids why we don't talk anymore. Wonder if Nicole knows the whole truth. Mostly, I think about Mom. About the brother she raised us to be. About the promises we made at Dad's funeral to always take care of each other. Robert broke those promises. Not when he forged the signature or transferred the money. He broke them the moment he chose his desperation over her dignity. Some people might say I should forgive him. He's family. He's my brother. Mom would want us to reconcile. Maybe she would, but Mom didn't know what he did. She died trusting him. I can't unknow what I know. I have the confession in a safety deposit box. I've never shown it to anyone, never needed to. Robert paid the money back. The debt is settled. But some debts can't be repaid with money. Some betrayals can't be undone with apologies. I lost my wife, I lost my mother, and I lost my brother. Not to death, but to something worse. To greed, to weakness, to the choice he made when he thought I'd never find out. He was wrong. I did find out. And that changed everything. I still have the funeral program from Mom's service. Sometimes I look at it and think about that moment, sitting in the pew beside Robert, knowing what he'd done, waiting to confront him. How surreal it felt to grieve beside someone who'd betrayed us both. People always say blood is thicker than water. That family comes first. That you forgive family no matter what. But I learned something in those 8 months, something I wish I didn't know. Sometimes the people who hurt you worst are the ones who know you'll forgive them, the ones who count on your love to let them get away with it. I didn't let Robert get away with it. I got the money back. I protected Mom's legacy, but I paid a price too. I lost my brother, my only family. Was it worth it? I don't know. Ask me on my good days, I'll say yes. On the bad days, when I'm alone in my condo and the silence feels too heavy, I'm not so sure. What I do know is this. I did what I had to do. I protected what Mom worked her whole life to build. I made sure her wishes were honored, even if she never knew they'd been threatened. And if I had to do it all again, knowing what it would cost me, I'd make the same choice. Because some things matter more than family harmony. Things like integrity, justice, doing right by the people we love, even after they're gone. Robert thought I didn't know. He thought he'd gotten away with it. He thought brotherly love would make me look the other way. He was wrong about all of it. And now we both have to live with the consequences. Him with his guilt, me with my loneliness. That's the real cost of betrayal. Not the money, the aftermath. The permanent change in how you see someone, how you see the world. I can't look at family photos anymore without wondering when it started. When did Robert change? Or was he always capable of this? And I just never saw it. I'll never know. And maybe that's the worst part of all.